exotic animals and embraced them. But with holograms, for example, anything can be adapted
Right.
to the circus as an entertainment form. So that would be something we could see more of.
Huh,
Going
that's really
forward.
interesting. I had not heard about that. So you've been involved with the CAC in different capacities for years.
Hmm.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I joined the CAC when it was known as the National Circus School of Performing Arts in 1998. It was quickly renamed to Circus Sarasota as it became obvious that the school would have to follow. When I first started, I wore many hats, similar to what is even happening today.
Yeah.
I worked with media buying, procurement for site services, bookkeeping, box office operations, and on-site operations. We had no budget, so we had to do much of the work ourselves, with volunteer time filled in and with little to no funds at all.
Okay.
Over the years, I assisted with concession operations to eventually joining Circus Sarasota as the operations and logistics manager, followed by director. In the end of 2017, I was given the title of vice president of operations and logistics.
Right.
Still doing a lot of the same things.
Right.
I'm wearing many hats.
Right.
Um,
Okay. So it's been a long road, but it's really an interesting road that you've been on in this life of a circus person. So you're very, very involved in the Circus Sarasota shows and getting them together and putting them on, and it's got to be at this point a well-oiled machine. But I know there are also hiccups. Can you tell us what it takes to put together a typical show?
Absolutely. Our performance planning and building begins around May. From contracting the artists to securing the visas for international artists we bring in to arranging their flights, accommodations. It's a process that requires patience and a high level of detail.
Right.
The quality of performances Circus Sarasota presents is one of the key components in the recipe that Pedro and Dolly, our founders, have insisted on from day one. Many of the artists are circus competition winners from the International Circus Festival of Monte Carlo and other high-level competitions, also called circus festivals,
Right.
as well-known circus families like the Wallendas and Knock family. In addition to bringing international acts, we search the country for many American acts. Many of the artists that we have brought in have appeared to America's Got Talent and the like.
Right. A lot of people see a lot of circus shows on America's Got Talent.
Exactly. All that said, there's a production team we assemble from our resident lighting designer, Devin Nee, to our sound tech, Lee Ketchum, to spotlight operators and a ring crew of 6 people.
Huh.
We basically build a small community right on Nathan Benderson Park. There's a tent master and a tent crew that must set up the big top before we can bring in the community. We work with the Nathan Benderson Park management team, the Sarasota Aquatic Nature Center Associates, or SANCA for short. They help us get the permitting and the setup that we need for the performances for Circus Sarasota and events that are there. As a nonprofit 501c3, we have a smaller army of volunteers that serve as ushers and runners for which we would not be able to get it done. And for that, we are eternally grateful to each and every one of them. We have a wonderful customer-friendly box office team that are happy to help guests with a host of items well beyond purchasing a ticket, from directions to event information. They're always there to help.
Right, and they're very friendly.
Yes. There is so much more, but I realize there's only so much time for this interview. So I can tell you it takes a circus village to bring Circus Sarasota to life. I am certainly grateful for the opportunity to be part of this institution that is the Circus Arts Conservatory.
So you talked a little bit about bringing the acts in from all over the world, and I've been privy to see that and to witness this and to meet some of the people. And for the most part, we've never really had any problems. Did people fill out their applications, they come in, and then they go home, and it's great. This year, from what I understand, there's been a little hiccup in our production in that we were really excited to have one act come into town, and now we're not going to be allowed to have them.
Yes, it was an acrobatic troupe from Ethiopia.
Yeah.
They're called the Dire Boys.
Okay.
And they're quite an incredible act. As a matter of fact, one of the numbers that they also did in the show was a voltage duo act. And that act in particular won in the Monte Carlo Youth Festival.
Oh, now what is that voltage?
It's tricks that the center base person does with a flyer, and they do hand tricks and do somersaults into the air and catch things like that. It varies from act to act.
Yeah.
But voltage means, kind of like the movement, the aerial throwing and tricks that can be done. We completed the entire 3-4 month process of getting them set up for their interviews. They completed all the documentation. They went to their interviews, and the troupe is a lot of young acrobats.
Right.
And they don't own homes yet.
Right.
So one of the requirements from the embassy to them was, can you prove you're going to come back to Ethiopia after you perform at Circus Sarasota? And many of them really couldn't prove it. They had parents or families with houses, and even kids today here aren't buying houses.
Right, exactly.
So it made it difficult for them, and for whatever reason, the interviewer felt like they weren't necessarily going to all come back.
Right.
So they denied them their visa. And we've been working on it with our visa attorney and our immigration attorney and other avenues that we've tried, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, which is a first for us.
And that sort of puts a huge wrinkle in the whole scheme of the show, because if they're not allowed to come in, now we're going to have to find another amazing act to replace them.
Exactly, and they're not easy to find.
And then you still have to go again through the whole immigration, unless we can find somebody that are U.S. citizens.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that's making this year very, very interesting, especially for
exciting.
Yes, the marketing department that's trying to put together the program. They have empty spaces there, saying, "What are we going to fill them with?"
I know, especially after you put in so much time, advance work into trying to make it happen. But,
right.
I mean, there are the rules and the laws.
Right, it's totally out of our control.
It's beyond our control. We've done everything we can. And in fact, I have to give credit to the Ethiopian troupe that they did everything they needed to do.
Yeah, they
well
did
ahead
all right.
of some of the other artists, in fact.
And they did it right.
Yeah. Except for the very end where they didn't get the approval.
Which is just so sad. I just feel so badly for them. So as a person that has been all over the world, as you have been, and has a huge circus background, one thing that I find so interesting is that Circus Sarasota is so well received, not just locally by the people that are going to see it, but by performers all over the world. We are getting contacted all the time saying, "Hire me, I want to come work for you."
Correct.
So that's not a typical thing, is it, for that?
Well, we work very hard at making their engagement enjoyable, welcomed when they come here. We put them in very nice accommodations. We use the Sun and Fun RV Resort, where they stay at nice accommodations.
Yeah, they've got a pool.
Exactly, a gym.
Tennis courts, bocce ball.
Exactly, and Sun and Fun have been great partners with us in making their stay very, very welcome as well. As far as Circus Sarasota being so well received, I believe that Circus Sarasota is well received because of the circus history that exists in Sarasota, a city that carries the moniker, the circus capital of the world, from the Ringling Museum to St. Armand's Circle, Ring of Fame, and the circus community and circus celebrities that still live here. But when it comes to the success of Circus Sarasota, most of the credit must go to our founders, Pedro and Dolly. They have made sure the legacy of circus remains alive and well, and the level of performance is at its highest.
Right.
Circus Sarasota's venue provides audiences a chance to see the best acts in an intimate environment, up close and personal. The furthest anybody is from the ring is 50 feet, so it's very, very intimate. We have some modern technology. We have a big wall video screen that we use to show acts working, and then in advance we share the mission of the Circus Arts Conservatory in our programs that exist. So it's really a nice way to visually communicate to the public. Circus Sarasota's venue provides audiences a chance to see the best acts in the intimate environment, like I said.
Right.
State-of-the-art lighting and sound brings artistry to life in a way that bedazzles you and brings you into the magical world of today's circus.
Yeah.
that for me is the ultimate result, seeing a wowed audience performance after performance, giving us the best advertising of all.
That's true. Word of mouth is the best. And for those of you that don't know, the Circus Sarasota 2020 shows begin February 7th and continue until March 1st. And I'm sure that there are still tickets available. So if you check our website, circusarts.org, that's circusarts.org, you can look, you can see pictures of the circus tent, and you can get your tickets. So, Henry, this has been so interesting. I learned so many things I didn't know before. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was a privilege.
So I'd like to say what I always say at the end of our show.
May all your days be circus days.